Hi, it's Splinterverse. Welcome to another episode of D&D New Releases, the show where we talk about new third-party products for Dungeons & Dragons from both Dungeon Masters Guild and DriveThruRPG. We cover 20 new titles from each of those sites. This is not a review show, as we have not looked at any of these products in full, so please venture into them at your own discretion. We do include alphabetical links to all of the titles shown in this video in the video description. So if you want to help the channel, please use those links to purchase these titles. You can also support by purchasing one of our books, two of which are shown on screen right now, and those are also linked in our video description. Please subscribe and share the video as well. It helps the channel and all of the creators in today's episode.
This week's episode is focused on titles released between September 17th and the 23rd, 2021. We've got 5th edition content, OSR, Morkborg, you name it, it's in here this week, whether it's modules, subclasses, alternate takes on rules, you name it, it's in here, so stay tuned all the way to the end to catch all of those. And we have a bonus 21st title for DM's Guild this week because I just released my 4th book, Feywild Companion, here on screen. It's a massive book at 150 pages. It's the first time I've worked with a team of writers in this space, and they're all awesome, so please give them a click up here, check them all out. They've all got awesome projects going on outside of this. If you're a publisher, consider working with them because they're all terrific. Same with the artists over here, lots of great artists. I'm blessed that it's already a best silver seller 3 days in, and it was just a lot of fun. I felt like I actually went to the Feywild working on this. It's got so much stuff for players and DMs. We've got 2 lineages and a race, 13 subclasses, including lore tables for every single one of them, 2 backgrounds, 13 spells, 4 feats, 4 familiars, 16 magic items, 16 flowers of the Feywild, which are just awesome because not only are they a new type of consumable, they can be encountered almost like a hazard. So they have dual purpose for the DM. We got 50 trinkets, 50 wild effects, 31 monsters ranging from CR 0 all the way up to 25, 17 NPCs with an archfey villain, 2 complete adventures that can take you from level 1 to 8, 6 encounters for levels 1 to 11, 56 adventure hooks, 3 VTT maps with all kinds of variations on them, 79 VTT tokens, and then a brand new domain of delight with a map, history, archfey, a lot of detail, adventure hooks, even a suggestion for a full campaign in that domain. So if you want to try something other than Prismere, we've got this really cool domain. I'm going to show you a map for it in just a second. Another very useful part of the book is the optional rules to alter monster size, whether you want to increase or decrease a monster size. We show you how to do it in a balanced way so that it works. So you can have crazy things like a gargantuan butterfly or a tiny ogre, whatever you're looking for, you can make it happen with this section, which is like 4 pages of the book. We've also got information on how to handle fey crossings, cold iron. It's just so much I can't even talk about it without doing a whole video on it. So I don't want to take away too much time from these other titles. But you can see some of the interior here. We'll read a little bit in a minute. These are some of the lineages, and we've got the Druid Circle of Visions. This is one of the subclasses focused on your ability to be kind of clairvoyant and have some divination going on. We've also got the Evil Eye subclass for the Sorcerer, where you put like a Fomorian curse on your targets. And each one has these lore tables. So on the Evil Eye, you get to find out about the origins of your curse. So it's lots of fun. And we got a ton of new monsters. One of my favorites is the Butterfly Queen. What's really cool about the Butterfly Queen is there's only ever one Butterfly Queen. And if she perishes, someone else becomes the Butterfly Queen. And there's some criteria of who can become the Butterfly Queen. So maybe even a player could become the Butterfly Queen. So that could be a really interesting twist in one of your stories. Might even be a cool way to take a player that's leaving the table and turn them into basically an NPC. So fun idea. And then we've got the Genius Loki, which is one of the fun lair creatures that has lair effects and all sorts of good stuff. I mean, look at this gorgeous art. So many talented artists participated in this. And here's the map of Dualis, which is our domain. We have adventures and things set in some of these locations, but then we also have descriptions of all of them so that you can come up with your own adventures. A lot of them tie into the various monsters and things. Minot is a miniature city, and so you can use the shrinking of the monsters for that, or there's other places where there's enlarged or shrunk monsters, including the Camp of Misfits up here. So lots of opportunities for fun. The Archfey lives on a floating island up here. Just tons of fun stuff. And you can see some more of the art here, all kinds of information. So I wanted to put a lot in the catalog page so you could read all about it. Got lots of adventures. The adventures are really cool. There's one where you have to do feats of strength and various things to entertain the Eladrin or else. And one thing that we did with all the encounters and the adventures is that they can be completed with or without combat, just like Wild Beyond the Witchlight, which also came out this week. So we wanted to kind of follow that same style, making them able to be completed without combat. So if you want to try to do it that way, you can, or you can mix in combat, maybe even have less combat than you might usually have. Either way, we've got both options available to you. Lots of fun NPCs that you can meet in there along the way. And yeah, I've got a whole video on it here as well that you can watch. But just so grateful to work on this with this team. It was just so much fun. We started way back in May working on this because we really wanted it to be the best it could possibly be. We wanted this to be like, if you buy the Wild Beyond the Witchlight and then you buy only one more book, we wanted this to be the book that you buy to go with that, to support you either as a DM or even as a player. We wanted there to be plenty of Fey options, whether it's the lineage or the subclasses, to give you that feel. And so I'll talk just a little bit about the Feybound, which you can read the complete Feybound here. The concept of the Feybound is that it's a character who, it's a lineage, so you presumably start as one of the traditional races, and then you end up in the Feywild for an extended period of time. It can be a year, it can be a decade, it can be however long, but as a result of that, you permanently changed. And so there's things about your appearance that have changed to give you kind of a Fey look. You've got some origins here to pick from for lore as to how you ended up in the Feywild. What was it that caused you to be sort of stranded there? And then how much time was lost while you were there, which can, have a significant impact on your backstory. And then we get into the traits, and there's a bunch of different fun traits here, but my favorite one, I actually wrote this one, is called the Feywild Trigger. And it says, you were lost in the Feywild for so long that something about you isn't quite right. At times you are triggered and taken back to the Feywild in your mind. When this happens, onlookers would describe you as having a blank stare, as if you were somewhere else. And so the notion for that was like this visual indication that your character is sort of been through something and is remembering being back there because you were there for so long and it was such a different place for you. And so when you gain this lineage, you roll a d20, and then whatever number you roll, as long as it's not a 1 or a 20, becomes your trigger number. And then whenever you roll a d20 for any reason and your trigger number appears, you go catatonic for a second, and then a wild effect occurs. And so there's so much fun that can be had with that. And it's only momentary, so it doesn't interfere with your other actions, and the DM has the final say on it. And we have a wild effects table, and they're all Fey themed wild effects, so you can use that, or you can use other wild effects tables, or both of them together, make a bigger table, whatever you want to do. And it only, once the feature has triggered twice, you cannot use it again until you complete a short rest. So this isn't going to be going off the entire session. You've got to have those long rests before it'll start going off again. But I thought it was a really fun way to make some of the other numbers on the D20 special, right? They get ignored a lot, or they're not cared about a lot. So, and people feel that way sometimes. So I thought, why can't we do that with the dice here? Make this the numbers mean something more than just 1 and 20 having all the fun, right? And that's just one little effect. There's a lot of effects, and you can read the whole thing here and see if this book is for you. But I certainly hope it is. Like I said, the team worked for months on this. And we really want it to be a must-have for you. So check it out. It's linked in the description under Feywild Companion, and it's on DM's Guild. Next up, we have the Swindle Sisters Marvelous Magic Market by Django Games and Brassic Arts. It's $9.99, and it's 54 pages. It says the Swindle Sisters Marvelous Magic Market invites all adventurers, merchants, and bargain hunters to a shopping experience the likes of which you've never seen before nor will you see again. A perfect shopping addition to Wild Beyond the Witchlight. Use this book as a campaign setting, Feywild location, or shopping center for your players to explore. And you meet the fine folk from across the Feywild, such as Zaruk, the realm's famous chef, or the mysterious Tooth Fairy. You can find rare treasures, exotic ingredients, adopt a pet, or even meet the love of your life. Delight in the otherworldly entertainment and indulge your senses with food, drink, and other comestibles found nowhere else. So there's 11 shops and their colorful shopkeeps, an introductory adventure or one-shot for level 1 characters, a new Warlock Archfey subclass for those who pledge fealty to the Swindle Sisters, 20 pieces of custom art, and more surprises await. And it looks fun here with this circus-themed look to it. You've got art for the different NPCs in here, so you can see all the fun stuff going on. And it's cool because it's got kind of like a circus feel, so it can kind of go with the Witchlight Carnival that's part of the Wizards of the Coast adventure. And it seems like you can use this, drop this in anywhere that you need this magical market. So let's look inside here. So nice art by Brassic Arts on the front. Cool little characters. And then all the information on the book and the author's notes, table of contents, and then all about the book, what to expect, how to use the market. And then we're going to see 9 of the 54 pages, so that's a good amount to take a look at. And they've got some laws of the fairy, which is nice. Continued here. Names. I like this. Names hold power. If a fey creature learns the full name of an individual, that information gives them power. The reverse is also true. So it says the tale of Rumpelstiltskin is a good example of this. He loses his power over the miller's daughter when she speaks his name, thus nullifying their pact. So giving you some examples here of some of those laws. And then you've got the optional laws like the Feywild food, time distortion, and then more information about the Feywild. And then you get into the shops and the shopkeepers. And so you got potions, lotions, and other notions. I like the name of that shop. That's fun. And then you got who the shopkeep is, about the shopkeep, costs, and then various information on their wares. So it says Lila seeks to purchase memories. Those that hold more significance or import to the buyer have higher value than those without. See the table below for some suggested memories Lila might charge as a cost. So whatever Lila is selling over here, in exchange, Lila wants a memory from that purchaser. So you would look here for some example memories and how much value Lila would assign to that. So if it's very high, then that might be equivalent to rare, very rare, etc. If it's low, maybe you need to give a couple of those memories to get one of these items. So cool. And you've got cute little pictures here of your shopkeepers. So just getting to see one shop in the preview here, but you can see in the catalog description some of the other cool, cute little pictures that they've done for the book, and lots of fun stuff. You've got puns, intro adventure, memorable NPCs. So it's all about the Feywild this week with Wild Beyond the Witchlight coming out. So definitely another fun option for you. Next, we have Downtime Activities Revisited from JA Productions. It says new options and detailed mechanics for adding variety and individualization to your time between adventures. It's $4 for 16 pages. It says, not every campaign focuses solely on delving into dungeons or clearing goblins from the nearby forest. The time spent between adventures can make up a large part of your character's life and give you a much deeper story when you include ties to the community or customize your character's abilities. The downtime activities presented in the Dungeon Master's Guide and Xanathar's Guide to Everything lay a great foundation to introduce this concept into your game. The options presented here are meant to augment those rules, providing a much wider range of choices and clarifying a few key concepts. There are 15 new options presented to you. So it says your character may spend their time between adventures becoming a pit fighting champion, delving into research of a new custom-made spell, collecting information for their next adventure, or trying to market their ability to use magic. So some cool, fun options for your downtime. And you get to see 6 of the 16 pages, so you get to see, even just here in the table of contents, they're talking about banditry, bounty hunting, developing a magic item formula, gathering information, gathering resources, on and on, all of the various things that you might be up to in your character's downtime. You've got lifestyle expenses and banditry complications. Bounty hunting, it's listing all the things that go on with that. Developing a magic item formula, we'll look at that one in a minute. And it looks like quite a few tables go with that, which is nice. So, seems like a really fun way to map out how to do some of these downtime activities. I'm sure you've got players that say, well, why can't I make a magic item? Why can't I do this? Why can't I do that? And sometimes the answer may be because the DM just doesn't have a method sketched out, doesn't have a guideline. And so this book might give those DMs that are, maybe haven't had time to put into how does that work in my campaign or my setting, give them a starting point. You don't have to follow this exactly, but at least it's going to give you something to start with. So let's look at that magic item. Developing a magic item formula. So it says, to craft a magic item, a character must first research and develop the necessary formula. Here is a method for doing just that. Similar to research activity, characters gain lore to generate the blueprints for the item they wish to create. This is your chance to create a unique magic item that may put your name among the greats like Hewer, Darren, and Keeglethorn. Prior to beginning this type of research, the player must work out the details of the magic item with the DM, who will determine the item's rarity. Understanding how to create the magical item requires detailed knowledge of how to manipulate the weave. Only a character proficient in the Arcana skill is able to undertake this type of research. And then it talks more about the details, and here's a table on the formulae, and then minor property of additional components, and then development, and formula complications. So fun detail on that. I did a similar thing in my Potions Unlocked book where I talked about how to create potions, so it's cool that there's something similar now for magic items with this book. And that's just one of the options. I mean, you got bounty hunting, you got all kinds of stuff in here to work with, and I think that's really cool because players are going to ask, how can I do that? How can I be this? How can I, you could even have a campaign where they just start doing a bunch of this stuff and then their life gets interrupted by an adventure. So it doesn't have to even be between adventures or, sessions. It can be your session 0. So check it out. It's in the links in the video description under Downtime Activities. Next we have the Formist, a class that channels alternate forms by Aidan Lee, and it's a pay-what-you-want title with a suggested price of $2.50. It's 11 pages. It says, Formists are those who channel and derive magic from alternate forms. A Formist may have chosen such a path to magic either by accident or particularly to gain use of a more powerful form. Some seek to better embody what they believe in, others simply seek the power such forms grant. The Formist is a full caster, with its main feature being an alternate form that grants them special abilities. So let's take a look inside. So some fun little art on the cover here. And you can see it starts talking about the otherworldly forms, and then this lists the class progression table, hit points, all the usual class stuff, and then alternate forms. So presumably subclasses are in here as well. I'm not sure if that's your alternate forms or something else. Let me see if I can tell here. It says Formists acquire their unique powers in a variety of ways. It is possible, if not rare, for one to be born a Formist. Okay, that's cool. Alternate form. Starting at first level, you gain a connection to a certain type of alternate form of the Celestial, form of the Fiend, Giant, etc. You can enter your alternate form as a bonus action on your turn by speaking an incantation aloud. You can do this a number of times equal to your charisma modifier, regaining all spent uses on a long rest. When you enter this form, you gain a number of temporary hit points and some other things. While in your alternate form, spectral images appropriate to your chosen form hover around you. Okay. And your form lasts for 10 minutes, and it grants you features at first level, then again at 3rd, 7th, 14th. So, I based on that last statement, I do believe alternate form is your subclass. So, and if you scroll down in the free full preview here, they've got some of those forms. So, the form of the Fiend presumably is based on demons, etc. And then the Giant would be based on giants. And so, presumably the abilities kind of mimic that. So looking at form of the Fiend, it says also at first level, when you adopt this alternate form, the shape of your form becomes clear. When you are in your alternate form, you gain the following benefits: Searing Agony. When you hit with a weapon attack or spell attack on your turn, you can choose to add 1d4 fire damage to that attack. You can use this ability once per turn. Fiendish Tongue. When you make a deception or intimidation check, you are considered proficient in that skill. You have resistance to necrotic and fire damage with Fiend's resistance. So cool abilities here, and very, very flavorful and appropriate for a Fiend. So yeah, I think this has some potential. You could have all kinds of forms. You could probably, if you bought this, you could probably even come up with your own forms, your own little subclasses that you could homebrew, because it seems like there's a lot of them, but there's probably other creature types that you could imitate with the forms. So very fun, different idea, and it's a pay what you want title, so that gives you some flexibility to check it out. So look for it under Formist in those links below and give it a click. Next we have Eberron Equipment Guide by Wayfinder's Foundation or Kind Wolf McGowan. It's free, so to get this, $0, 8 pages. And it says inside you'll find conversions for a number of armors, weapons, and adventuring gear from the Player's Handbook 3.5, Eberron campaign settings, Secrets of Sorlana, Secrets of Zendrick, Races of Eberron, and Eberron's Player as a guide. So basically, they're taking some of the older edition Eberron material and converting stuff. So that's awesome for people that are, enjoying Eberron, giving them back some of the things. Maybe they got into Eberron in an older edition, right? And they're missing some of the stuff that they used to play with, and now it'll be back with this. So it says, in addition to the standard fare from the Player's Handbook, the mini cultures of Eberron have created a number of unique weapons, armor, and equipment. Herein is your guide to these wanderers. So, and then it lists all the places that the information is coming from, and very nicely laid out. You can see all of the things. They've even got some artwork here for the various items, weapons. So yeah, it looks quite extensive and lots of artwork. So I'm guessing these are from the older editions, even some of the artwork. So that's awesome. Yeah, quite thorough. Let's read something here. Ever-burning torch. This otherwise normal torch has a continual flame spell cast upon it. An ever-burning torch casts bright light in a 20-foot radius and dim light for an additional 20. So that'd be a handy thing to have, especially in a dungeon crawl. So lots of stuff in here with art from the older editions too, as well, it looks like, and nice layout and other art in here. And it's free. I mean, there's not even an option to pay for it if you wanted to. So I think there's no reason not to get this. I need to remind myself to come back and get this later because I'd like to have a copy. So check it out under Eberron Equipment Guide in the links below. Next we have Escape from the Giantslayer Catacombs. It's by Peter Kapusta. Find a way out of the cursed catacombs in this 4th level dungeon crawl adventure. Speaking of dungeon crawls, we just talked about that ever-burning torch. It's $4.95, 23 pages, and it says the Giantslayer Catacombs are an ancient tomb of a long-forgotten hero, Lord Vendrick, who fought a successful campaign against the giants. He himself executed the Giant King, who moments before having his head taken off cursed the hero. Vendrick was never to have peace after his own death. His tomb would be cast into another plane, turning him into an undead, who would now spend forever fighting the ones who are caught up in his domain. So it's a 4th level adventure for 4 to 5 characters. Characters who survive the adventure should reach the 5th level by the adventure's conclusion. It can serve as standalone or side quests in any major campaign. It is intended for Forgotten Realms, but can easily be inserted into other settings. Cool. Let's take a look inside. So you've got background, adventure hooks, and then the adventure starting here. Oh, that's a very nice map to go with that. Very nice. It's got details of the maps. I don't really look at this stuff before I do the video, other than the criteria that I use to pick the lineup for the week. I don't really go through this, so my reactions are the same as you guys. I'm like, whoa, what's this? So the adventure hooks here says dragged into another dimension. The characters are dragged into the domain of Lord Vendrick, either by a wild portal that sucked them in, or by finding a magical artifact serving as dimensional door. Their goal will be solely to survive, to find a way out. So that's a cool adventure hook, and that's just one. There's several here that you can pick from to get them into this situation. And then there's a whole bunch of background here on it. Let's read just a little bit about the skull keys. In order to get out of the Giantslayer Catacombs, the characters must defeat the Wraith of the Lord of this domain. And in order to unlock the door to the crypt, the characters will have to find all 5 skull keys. So that's cool. It's kind of like a scavenger hunt while they're in this massive map. So very cool. Definitely hope they figure that out early, or they may have to backtrack and get all those keys. But I like it. Looks like a lot of fun, and I like the concept of hunting for those keys. And it's listed in the video description links under Escape from the Giantslayer Catacombs. So give it a click and check it out. Next we have Haggle Rock, a Sour 16, a hag-based one-shot for 4th level characters by Ben Morrison and Spencer Faust. And it says based on an episode of One Shot One Quill. It's another one that's free completely, so no reason not to pick this one up. It's 10 pages. It says the population of women in the impoverished town of Corset is quickly dwindling as families trade away their daughters to hags to support the rest of their family. A young girl reaches out because her 16th birthday is approaching, when she will undergo foul new magics and become a hag. Does your party have what it takes to face a coven within their own dastardly mountain lair of Haggle Rock? So I love the play on the name. You know, there was that old Jim Henson Muppet style show called Fraggle Rock, and so this is called Haggle Rock. So it's a fun little parody name. And it says, got 3 quest hooks, a new coven variant for all your disagreeable hags, 2 new monsters, the Haglet and the Guardian Gnome, or Garden Gnome, 2 unique magic items for rewarding your players, and a map and room descriptions. So very cool. So you can see here they got some flavor text for the hook and the additional quests, and then the background on the haggle, and you've got the coven variant, and then some members it looks like, and the Haglet monsters. So you get to see 3 of the 10 pages with like an assortment of some of the things. So here's the monsters, so you can look those over and see if they're helpful. It's nice that there's a challenge level 1 and a challenge level 7, so it's a good little spread there. So let's read about Aunt Agatha here. Whether they are approached by her or not, players will likely notice an old woman in slightly elevated dress wandering around town. Standing out from the rest of the townsfolk, you notice an old woman dressed in plain clothes, but plain clothes in much nicer condition than the rest of the citizens. The rest of the townsfolk acknowledge her, but most of them glance at her and then quickly avert their eyes. Once or twice, you see citizens quietly walk up to her and exchange gold with her, before hurriedly running off, or shuffling off, sorry. The old woman is known as Aunt Agatha around these parts, though she is truly the hag Hagatha. So, fun name, reminds me of the Smurfs. I think there's a Hagatha and Smurfs as well. So, definitely fun. Cool references, lots of 80s references with Fraggle Rock and Smurfs here. But, yeah, it looks like a fun time. And with the Wild Beyond the Witchlight, I mean, hags are Fae, right? So you may have something going on with those as things progress through the Feywild. So for free, might as well grab this and have it on hand if you need something hag related, or whether you're just going to take a character from here or actually play out the full adventure. Either way, you're good to go. Next we have Johnny Snaggletooth's Casebook of Crime, a hard-boiled adventure sourcebook. It says a wealth of new character options for hard-boiled adventures by DC Bradshaw. I love the cover. It's reminiscent of a pulp novel, from an earlier time in the 20th century when those were common. Very cool look to it. It's $9.95 for 45 pages, and it's just got really fun artwork. Also reminds me of some of the pulp comic books. It says, for the unaccustomed, these source books provide rules to take D&D 5th edition rules and content and update them for a new era and genre, moving away from classic fantasy into something more reminiscent of 1940s America in a classic film noir style, but still with orcs and magic and stuff. The original hard-boiled adventure sourcebook provides everything you need to make this conversion, but it doesn't go far beyond the absolute basics. This sourcebook seeks to fill in some of the gaps, providing a range of new subclasses for your characters, as well as a wealth of new magic items, spells, and a few extra rules thrown into the mix. So there's 20 subclasses, 30 new spells, 40 magic items, and supplementary rules for giving your characters compulsions and vices. Okay, that's good. And there's classic pulp artwork, much of it updated with a D&D twist. So you can see some interiors here with it's listing all the subclasses, and then some spell descriptions and cool artwork, very pulpy. And I'm impressed that this is on DM's Guild, because a title like this presumably could be on DriveThruRPG, and so as a creator, the percentage that you get to keep is lower on DM's Guild than it is on DriveThru, because of the Wizards of the Coast involvement in DM's Guild and their participation and access to the IP. That's one of the reasons why you're willing to take sort of less of a cut, is because you get access to all that IP, right? And so this doesn't seem to use a lot of that IP, at least from what I can see. So I think it's nice of this author to be willing to put it on this site, to get it in front of your eyes, and take less profit as a result. So very cool that that's going on, because it looks like a fun option. So let's look inside and see what we can find out. I like the typeface too. It looks like an old typewriter, which is also reminiscent of that period, that noir pulp feel, and fun art. So yeah, lots of good stuff in here. We'll pick something to read in a second, but just scrolling through for you, you can see all kinds of fun stuff. So this is an engineer artificer, and or that's let's see, is that the name of it? Yeah. Engineer Artificer. Okay, it confused me because this is at 3rd level. Okay, yeah. All right, so that's when you gain the specialist feature. So this one is called Operative, presumably. As an operative, you apply your engineering skill towards building gear for undertaking dangerous operations on your own. This makes you a force to be reckoned with. As part of a group, it makes you unstoppable. And so then it lists all the features, the operative spells. So we'll pick something fun to read here. Dead Man's Switch. Once activated, you must continually hold down the activation switch, or the explosive will immediately detonate. You can also deactivate the device as a free action. So this deals with concealed explosives that you create. So lots of fun options in here. Very suitable art to get you in the mood for pulpy action fun. And looks like a really good time for $9.95. So check it out under Johnny Snaggletooth's Casebook of Crime in the links in the video description. Next we have The Landscape of Estorian LeFae, a 2-hour adventure for 1st through 4th level characters by Gabe Hicks. And this is one of 9 Adventurer League titles that came out as part of a dungeon craft little section on the site, and we wanted to just feature one so we could get in as many titles as we could, but understand that there's 9 of these in total, and they're meant to be used as part of the Adventurer League introductory organized play. But there's so much to love in these titles. They're very creative. The creators have obviously been passionate about their creations, and I wanted to just pick one to focus on for this video, but I do hope that you check them all out. But this one I particularly love. It reminds me a lot of the Portrait of Dorian Gray, or Morgan Le Fay with this name here, and I love the artwork and just the name. I love everything about it. And it says, this adventure is intended to be newcomer friendly to the hobby of Dungeons and Dragons. Many aspects are left a bit open intentionally with guidelines for how to proceed, so you as the DM can add to this world as you see fit, and drop in more mechanics or encounters, even change them the way you like to. So that's awesome. We need more kind of ease your way into it as a DM so that people aren't scared to try it. It says, Canvas is a self-contained domain inside of a painting, protected by magic and housing secrets to be hidden in plain sight. Although in a place of art and creation, anything can become reality, and that in itself is dangerous, as the ruler is a bit eclectic. This domain of pigment is located inside of a painting drawn of a large tree covered in moss, raised on the ground, and with water flowing out of the base, forming a small waterfall. It is labeled Seasons Fleetings by Estorian LeFae. So the whole domain of delight, because the new release, Wild Beyond the Witchlight, has introduced this concept, domains of delight. We have one in our book too, and it's kind of like Domains of Dread from Ravenloft, and this one is cool because it's contained within a painting, and it says the painting changes to reflect different seasons from an outside perspective as the domain's ruler's position changes. Inside the painting is a collection of stories and artwork unique to the Fae. The domain is a self-contained archive, although the archive may have been less preserved and more acquired in selfish desire. And one of the reasons I also love this is the Archfey in the domain that we created for Feywild Companion, Dualis. He's very paranoid, and one of the things he has in his Mirror Manor is a bunch of paintings, and these paintings are windows into whatever is painted on them. They show whatever's happening in those locations, so he uses them to spy on people. And so since this entire domain in this particular book is contained within a painting, there's no reason that it couldn't be hanging in Mirror Manor and lead you to this adventure, after you've been to Dualis. Or vice versa. Maybe you start in this adventure and you come through the painting and end up in Dualis. So DMs out there, make it happen. I don't DM, someday maybe. And I just love that. When I read this, I was like, it's so much of what's in my book and what's in Wild Beyond the Witchlight. There were some synergies there that weren't planned. I mean, we started our work in May, and I'm sure people started work on this book before, now, and it's like there's this collective consciousness where we're all thinking about similar things maybe, and it just comes out, and you can see the connections. And so not only is this a fun example of what can be done with this new concept of dungeon craft titles for the Adventurers League, where the DMs Guild is sort of working with these creators to have a special set of releases. Not only is that awesome, but just looking at the creativity in each one of these, I think this one from Gabe is just really fun. They're all fun, and they're all listed here. You've got Bianca Bickford, Anthony Joyce, Justice Armand, tons of names that people know working on stuff, and they've got 9 different ones, so you're bound to find one you're gonna like. Maybe you'll buy them all, but I found them to be all quite interesting, and they are set up a little different because they're for Adventurers League, so make sure you take a good look inside and make sure it's going to work for you. But I'm excited by them because, especially with the concept of having it be introductory, that'll bring in some people new to the game, so we can have lots of new friends to play with. So it says this one in particular is for 3 to 7 first to 4th level characters. Average party level of 3 is what it's optimized for. And then it gets more into the background of Canvas, the domain that's used here. And then you've got some adventure hooks, and we'll read one of those in a minute. And then here's some more information on the domain with your Archfey. And the challenge rating of this Archfey is 9. So that's cool. And there's a Fey crossing information, call to action. And here's an encounter with a D8 table for some results. We won't spoil any of those. But let's go back up and read a little bit about the adventure hooks. So it says it takes place in the domain of Canvas within the Feywild. And here's some hooks. So after looking too closely at a landscape painting of a forest hung inside of a tavern, it seems to lose all color and then sucks the party in immediately. So there you go. It gets the players fall into this painting, as we talked about earlier. And what's cool is potentially while they're in the painting, it could move somewhere else. So it could start in this tavern and then find its way to Dualis, the domain in my book, or somewhere else. But I think that's so fun. I just love that Gabe created this. It makes me wish I was a DM to combine it with the domain that we created. But it's just fun. So, and this is just one, right? I'm having a lot of fun reading this, and I can tell you that these other ones are just as fun. So take a look at those, especially if you're already doing Adventure League stuff or you want to do Adventure League stuff. It's definitely worth checking out. So look for it under Landscape of Estorian LeFae in the links below, and have fun. Next, we have Making Every Magic Item Usable by Ken Carcass and Dead Meat Productions. So it's $9.95. It's 60 pages. And this one, I was looking at it when I was making selections this week, and I was really confused about what it is. So I do think, Ken, if you're watching, you might want to make some changes to the description here on the page, because I do think, after looking at it in detail in your full-size preview, I do think you have something here that people would be interested in. I just think it's a little confusing, because I'm not going to read it exactly as it's written here, because, like I said, I think it's confusing. What the book is doing is it's saying that so many of the magic items have attunement, and so as a result, you have to wait to use them. They may not help everybody. They're specific to certain classes, and so you have kind of a limited pool if you're using just the Dungeon Master's Guide and some of these things of magic items. And so what the suggestion is in this book, if I'm understanding it correctly, is that you're not getting rid of attunement. But what you're doing is, for all the items in the Dungeon Master's Guide, the author is presenting alternate things that these items do when they're not attuned, and what they'll do for character types that are not the class that has to use them. And so what that does is it opens up possibilities. And I'm not saying you need to go do this with every single item in the Dungeon Master's Guide. You don't have to use every single suggestion in here. But even if you just wanted to use it with a couple, just to make it a little different and tweak some of these items, maybe the players have seen these items a million times, and now with this twist on them and saying, okay, yeah, this item's meant for a paladin, but if a cleric wants to grab it, it does this. And yeah, it's not as powerful as if you fully attune to it, but heck, we're in a fight. Or we need something here, let's grab whatever we can to survive this, right? So I really like what this author has done, but I do think you need to work on this description, because the way this reads is it sounds like attunement is going away, and that it doesn't really explain what you're doing, that you're offering an alternative in addition to attunement. So attunement is still there if you want it for the more powerful effects, but you're getting lesser effects without attunement, and that, I think, is a value add. So looking here at the inside, and I would maybe even consider editing some of the text inside, because I also found it, because I tried to read this to understand it too, and it wasn't until I really read some of the items that I understood it. But I do like what you're doing with these effects. So looking at the Amulet of Health here at the beginning, it doesn't normally do this effect that I'm going to read. This is the effect it would do for anybody using this book. This book says, pick up the Amulet of Health, doesn't need attunement to make this happen that I'm about to read. Your hit point maximum increases by an amount equal to your proficiency bonus while you wear this amulet. Now, the actual abilities of Amulet of Health are better than that, but they require attunement. I don't remember if they require a particular type of character, but you see what I mean now. That's what this book is doing, and it's going through all of them, and it's telling you the original page, and it's giving you all these abilities and some fun art along the way. So to me, and you can look at 15 pages to see if you like some of these alternate abilities in the 15 pages out of the 60 that it has in the full version. So check them out. I think there's some value here, even if it's just to mix it up. You don't have to use all of them. You could just pick a few and say, okay, we're going to try something different. Maybe there's even some sort of story point that happens in your campaign that causes all of the magic items in the world to now have some sort of benefit, whether they're attuned or not. You could even make that something the characters cause to happen, right? So please don't overlook this book because of the confusion I described. I've looked through this. I don't normally take such a deep dive when I'm picking the lineup, but I was just intrigued by what is this? I want to understand it because it could be something really valuable, and I do think there's some potential here. So I like that. And Ken, if you're listening, if you want to write something to add to an update about, a world event that happens that makes all these items, if you want to use that as a hook, it's freely yours. Don't have to credit me, because I want all these creators to be super successful, sell their books, make a living doing this if possible, which is really hard. So take that idea if you want, or, DMs listening, take it and use it as well. So very, very interesting title. I think it has lots of potential. Look for it in the links down below under Making Every Magic Item Usable. Next we have Monster Hunts Feywild by Val Serene, Wyatt Troll, and Alex L. So Val Serene has done Monster Hunts for a long time and done such a wonderful job with them. I always like looking at the Monster Hunts. We've featured them a few times on here, and I think Val is really talented, and this title is already a best copper seller. And I'll tell you something very nice that I experienced personally is that as Val was working on this book, Val decided to open up a couple pages in the back for ads for other creators, and I was fortunate enough to get to take one of those spots, and I was just so impressed that Val was thinking of the community and willing to involve other people. And so thank you, Val, for that. And you see a lot of great things that go unnoticed in the community that people do for each other, because we do share the space, and we're all trying to make some funds out of this, and to make some great content that people enjoy. And so it's nice when people aren't just selfish about it, right? And so I really like that Val did that. And so I wanted to mention that as I'm talking about this title, because you don't often see that. So anyway, 75 pages in this one, and it's also got Feywild fun for you. It's a collection of Feywild creatures for low tier, mid tier, and high tier Dungeons and Dragons campaigns. Terrorize, teach, and reward your players with expanded creature habitat details, monstrous lore, bounty board plot hooks, and monster loot tables, while also utilizing unique creature weaknesses your players can exploit. And so you've got 10 new Feywild monsters, 50 magic items, creature habitat details, and then some adventures, 10 unique monster hunting adventures. And it's compatible with Roll20 with the tokens and maps. And you can streamline your games with easy-to-use encounter icons. So, and all the monster hunts have this really cool lexicon here with these little symbols they use to tell you about like the fighting styles of the monsters and stuff. But yeah, great artwork, cool maps, fun stuff going on. You can see all the little images here. So yeah, it looks like a fun time. Let's look inside. So you've got all these different creatures. You've got Fogo, Folly, Albatram. So yeah, fun Feywild names even. We're going to read one of them in a minute here. but we're going to just scroll through for you, get a little sense of the characters. So the Gloom Glass. So this one looks fun. A mysterious living mirror capable of conjuring monstrous entities and visions of past, present, and future. Awesome. So the Gloom Glass is a warped construct twisted by the magical nature of the Feywild. At first glance, it appears as an unassuming cracked object of vanity discarded by some petty noble or bandit group. However, upon closer examination, the mirror exudes a gentle heartbeat, betraying its true nature. Awesome. I love this. In my Feywild Companion book, we have a mirror domain for clerics. We also, the Lord of Reflections, our archfey for the Dualist domain, it deals with mirrors. He has abilities to use mirrors, and he has a lot of mirrors throughout the domain. So this creature would be perfect in that. So if you've picked up the Feywild Companion and you want to add some additional Feywild creatures, I think the Gloom Glass would be really fun to plug in there, and it would just be perfectly, nobody would notice it, because one of the unique features of Dualis is that you see mirrors all over the place in strange places, and you go, well, what is that doing there? So there's no reason one of those couldn't be the Gloom Glass. And we have a Graveyard of Glass, so this could also be there. So I love this. It'd be fun to see people using this there, and it's a CR rating 5, and then you've got the symbols here showing you some of the things that it does. Let's read one of the abilities. Vomit shadows. The Gloom Glass vomits shadowy entities targeting up to 3 creatures it can see within 120 feet of it that are not in its extra-dimensional space. Each target must succeed on a DC 15 intelligence saving throw or take psychic damage. Nice. So some good abilities, harvesting materials from them, magical items that can be made from them, which, this is what the Monster Hunts does, is it extends the value of the monsters. So you've got, various things you can loot from them, and then things you can make from them. And so it's just a really fun series. I encourage you to check out some of the other Monster Hunt titles too. But I mean, look at how fun these creatures are. Wallywop, and all kinds of fun stuff. And like I said, if you got the Feywild Companion already, this goes well with it, because you can never have too many Feywild creatures to put this in there as well. So yeah, have fun with it. I'm wishing, doing this video this week, I'm wishing I was a DM, because I would definitely put this this mirror thing into the Dualist domain and have some fun with that, because it's cool. So hopefully some DMs are looking and will take on some of the suggestions. Put Gabe Hicks's painting in Dualist, put this in Dualist, and just have a good old time. But as always, Val and the others that work with him, Wyatt Troll and Alex L., fantastic presentation, great stuff, and lots of details. Sometimes you get new monsters, right, and they just don't have that much information, and this definitely has a lot, and it's already a best copper seller, so definitely people are interested. So check it out under Monster Hunts Feywild in the links below. Next we have Oath of Fun, a paladin subclass by Aaron Tierney. It's for $1 for 3 pages. It says, who says that being a paladin is always duty and dourness? Taking a sacred oath can be fun, if fun is what it's all about. Paladins of the Oath of Fun are performers. They revel in entertaining people, even if that entertainment comes at the expense of others. They combine physical slapstick with cutting jokes, never letting social mores, decorum, or even good taste get in the way of performance. They find work in performance troupes and circuses, spreading fun to as many people as they can. So what's cool about this is that, the Wild Beyond the Witchlight has the Witchlight Carnival, and then there's also the Carnival in Ravenloft. So you could have a character that's doing these kind of things. In Feywild Companion, we have a clown background, so you can even have that background combined with this oath, just to make them even more of a performer. But yeah, they got this fun little gesture messing with these dogs here. Yeah, it looks fun. You pretty much get to see the whole book here, so no reason not to take a look at this one. So we've got the tenets of fun. So fun, first and foremost, I do what I enjoy and what I find funny. Entertainment, I will please the crowds, whether they want shock, ridicule, or spectacle, I will provide it. Mayhem, what's life without a little disarray? So some fun tenets, not the typical, tenets of a paladin. These are more fun focused, so it's a little bit different. And then you've got this aura of slapstick. Starting at 7th level, you constantly emanate a chaotic aura while you're not incapacitated, turning a failure into a hilarious failure. The aura extends 10 feet from you in every direction, but not through total cover. When a creature within this aura rolls a natural 1 on an attack roll, you can use your reaction to force them to roll on the pratfall table. And at 18th level, the range of this aura increases to 30 feet. So, and then there's all these fun pratfalls. The creature falls prone. The creature must repeat the attack against another creature other than itself of your choice. If they cannot, nothing happens. The creature drops everything it's holding. All sorts of fun pratfalls, which is very thematic for what this paladin is all about, is having fun, causing silly things to happen, entertaining themselves. So check it out under Oath of Fun in those links below. Next we have Phanaton with this fun art on the front from Christopher Langham. Suggested price of 50 cents on Pay What You Want for 2 pages. Often described as the mixture between a bat, flying squirrel, and a monkey, Phanatons are native to the canopies of the jungle. They tend to live in trees, either in small villages or primitive settlements. Because of this, outsiders sometimes view them as unintelligent when this is not the case. Phanatons can extend their arms and legs while in the air to glide, and their prehensile tails to swing and climb, using both of these tools to evade and sneak up on their enemies. So apparently this is a race from 3.5, and this has now been converted to 5th edition, so you can enjoy it. And that's another thing I love about the DM's Guild, is all the conversions that we get. So you get all the information here. You get to see pretty much all the traits on this page, I believe. There are 2 pages to the book, so I'm presuming one to be the cover and then the other one being this, but I could be wrong, but it seems like you get to see everything. So again, no reason not to check this one out. So let's read one of the abilities here. Gliding wings. When you fall or jump from a height that is 15 feet or higher, you can extend your wings, no action required, and glide. When gliding, you have a speed of 30 feet and descend at a rate of 5 feet per 5 feet traveled. You cannot carry more than your weight while gliding, and cannot wear armor that exceeds 20 pounds while gliding. So fun little option, kind of a flying squirrel bat thing. Cool looking creature. Definitely would be at home in the Feywild or somewhere. So check it out under Phanaton in the links below. Next, we have Pinnacle of Power. A sinister organization's generation-spanning scheme is about to be revealed deep below the surface of the world by Chris Valentine. And it's $4.99 for 54 pages here. And it's part 3, so Chris has done a trilogy of adventures and always does quality stuff, and I have been remiss in not covering some of these in the past couple of weeks, but you can see all 3 of them down here, and it looks like there's a bundle where you can get them together, so definitely check that out before you buy, because it might be more cost effective to get the bundle. But they all look fun, and it sounds like you can play average party level 6, 8, and 10, so they kind of progress if you play them together, and it's designed to help fill the level gaps left in Ghost of Saltmarsh, so helps you fill in that. So if you've got that Ghost of Saltmarsh going and there's some weird gaps there, you can just drop these in, it looks like. So that's an awesome technique for the books, is to just kind of fill in those missing parts that happen when you have a book that just can't have infinite pages. Wizards cannot put out infinite pages in these books, so they have to at some point cut some stuff or not have an area covered. And so there's a big market here on the DM's Guild to fill in those gaps or help DMs do the prep. So here it says the adventurers venture deep into the Underdark below Saltmarsh and uncover a dastardly Yuan-Ti plot. This adventure is presented as average party level 10, but it's adjustable, and it fills the level gap. It ties into various Scarlet Brotherhood schemes around town and makes use of locations throughout Saltmarsh, such as the Mine, the Wicker Goat, the Standing Stones, and more. It takes 8 to 12 hours to play through. You get maps, ships, creatures, 15 stat blocks there, and 10 new magic items. And it helps build upon the fantastic area of Ghosts of Saltmarsh. So, yeah, Ghosts of Saltmarsh is a really interesting setting in terms of the adventure, that it creates sort of a little setting as you go. So it's fun that this kind of drops right in, and you can see some really nice fun artwork in here. We're going to look inside next. So you get to see 15 of the 54 pages and all kinds of stuff. So here's all your adventure stuff, and then you've got your magic items. All those are listed, and then all your creatures, and then your ships and notes. So fun nautical stuff with the ships. I'm sure you've got Underdark and Orth, organizational ranks. It's a cool little map here. And then here's part 1. So you can see the Wicker Goat map. So you might even be able to use some of these for Saltmarsh itself, since these are some of the locations in that book. So you get additional value, or just use them. You can use these maps probably for a general tavern somewhere if you need a tavern in a hurry. So yeah, I like all this stuff. Let's take a look. It says Manistrad Copperlocks is a dwarf veteran that leads the mining operation in Saltmarsh, a new addition to the town. She and her crew have been brought in to follow the trace amounts of silver in the nearby cliffs to their richer sources. Manistrad knows the traditionalists in the town want the new dwarven residents gone. She does her best to avoid the political game, but at times it's inevitable. She's confident once she finds some rich resources of fine metals in the town, we'll finally see it was all worth it. So, cool little backstory for Manistrad Copperlocks. And then there's a section on what Manistrad knows here, so you can read all about that. And then more information even on the Wicker Goat, which is one of the older establishments in Saltmarsh. So just lots of little details that, like I said, they have value beyond this book. They can be used to fill in those gaps in Saltmarsh. But I feel like these maps are going to be so useful for other things. I mean, who doesn't need an inn or a tavern map? Who doesn't need some of these things that we're seeing in here? Even this little map, I think it could be reused for other things, and then maybe even some of these characters. So, you just don't know what you're going to need when you embark upon a campaign as a DM. So if you're going to do Saltmarsh, I would grab these, especially since you can get all 3 of them down here in this bundle, along with an additional title for only $14.49. So that's less than $5 each, and you're going to support this talented creator, and you're going to get all this stuff that you can reuse and fill in level gaps and help your Saltmarsh campaign. Maybe you have been putting off doing Saltmarsh, and now with this you can feel confident heading into it. So check it out under Pinnacle of Power. Don't forget about the bundle down below, and give it a click. Next we have Plague Pestilence Parasite, Avalakia Overrun. It's a 5th edition adventure, open beta test. It's a suggested price of $12 under Pay What You Want for 49 pages, and it's by Tyler C. It says, keep a close eye on your allies and adventuring companions. They might just be an aberration in disguise. It's a module written using the Plague Pestilence Parasite disease system. Players must avoid being infected by the mutant Avalacaris parasite while they deal with the invasion of the Body Snatcher style plot that threatens with complex social mechanics. Fight off shape-shifting Avalakia, investigate infected areas, barter with a powerful hag, and save the small town of Finwell from being completely overrun. The short adventure is designed for various levels of playthrough, though 5 to 10 is ideal, and functions best as a follow-up to a different adventure. It includes the core adventure, digital maps, new items, new feat, and all the stat blocks that are required. So let's look inside. So it talks about how it's a beta test, so just keep that in mind, especially before you buy. And keep in mind, with Pay What You Want, you can pay even $0 and then later come back and pay more, because the pay button will still be available if you paid $0. So if you're concerned about the beta test, you could always pay $0, and then as things get fleshed out and improved and you give your feedback to help beta test, please do that. Then you can come back later and pay something based on that. But it also, feedback is paying the author something as well, right? Because you're helping them shape this into a product that people will pay money for, more money for, right? So lots of material in here, and 49 pages, nothing to sneeze at. I mean, that's a lot of pages of material, even if it's just a beta test. But yeah, here's some of the special items, so we'll read one of those. The Arcane Headlamp. This enchanted miner's headlamp is a sturdy protective hat with a focus beam of light emitting from a lens at the forehead. Behind the lens is a small crystal shard that can be activated or deactivated with a command word. While activated, the headlamp produces bright light in a 15-foot line and dim light in a 30-foot cone beyond that. If the lens is removed, the headlamp produces bright light in a 10-foot radius and dim light for an additional 35 feet while active. So, fun little headlamp. All kinds of stuff in here. There's a lucky token, old explosives, charm of insect warding. Fun stuff. And we've got an appendix on paranoia and modified standing. And then map of the town. But let's see if they have anything on the mechanics, because there was some talk of the mechanics being a little different here. So we're working with parasites like other diseases outlined in... Okay, so maybe... Okay, the author has a Plague, Pestilence, and Parasite PDF that outlines the system in which diseases can take more dynamic roles. So you might need to get that as well. I would maybe... If you're watching Tyler C., I would maybe put a link to that in here. I know it's probably in this list of things here, because you've got some other titles, but... since it would be helpful to have that, I would maybe try to put a link here. I know you can put an image link or whatever, but yeah, that I like that notion, and definitely interests me that maybe there's some other rules on how to run diseases. So, at any rate, check it out under Plague, Pestilence, Parasite in the links below. Next, we have the Plays the Thing. It's a blood-soaked cavalcade at the Theater Guggenal. By Black Cats Gaming. It's a 5 to 6 hour adventure for 4 to 6 tier 2 characters, and it's also by James Barry. It says, behind the scenes, shadowy forces have vested insert in the production's success or failure. In this world of costumes and disguise, not all is what it seems. Half a mile from the center of town sits the Theater Guignol, an open-air amphitheater built into an O shape. At its height, it's renowned countrywide, putting on plays en masse to delight and entertain everyone from kings and queens to the lowliest groundling. For the last few years, the fortunes of the theater have been falling, and the productions have been failing and turning towards cheaper shock and effects to make ends meet. The arrival of a new backer could turn things around or cause the ruin of the theater and even the local area. So, sounds fun. It says they're likely to get to 7th level if they complete Acts 1 and 2. Let's take a look inside. So, got some cool artwork, nice layout. So, Adventure Hooks, the Theater Guignol had a long-standing reputation for previewing some of the most widely regarded plays and spectacles throughout the world. It says, while it has fallen on hard times and its reputation is somewhat tarnished, Gatesby has pulled out all the stops for this make-or-break production. You could use any of the following hooks as possible ways to capture the attention of the players. So let's pick one of these. Merry and tragical. Any bard or character with an interest or background in history or performance will have heard of the Theater Guignol. As the site of the premieres of Electrum for Electrum, The Taming of the Tarrasque, and A Neverwinter Nightmare, it is a famous venue. Sheer curiosity and the possibility to learn more about the history of the place may pique the character's interest if listed among local landmarks. So, and then there's this play that's involved and quality points and all kinds of stuff. So it looks really fun, especially if you maybe were a theater kid or you like theatrical stuff, or you have a bard that's always looking for ways to engage the world around them more. This could be really fun. I think it's cool. There's some really fun artwork here, and we don't often talk much about the stage or theater in the D&D settings that we're playing in, so I think this is a great opportunity for that, and it's a reasonable price too. So check it out under Plays the Thing in the links down below and give it a click. Next we have Pryvyd's Guide to Ravnica by Sean Atherton. It's already a best copper seller. It says surveil the intrigues of Ravnica, and it's $14.95, and it says an expansion guidebook to the setting of Ravnica. Pryvyd's Guide has useful tools for players and dungeon masters. There's the shape-changing Lupul playable race, 3 new subclasses, 9 new Simic hybrid animal mutations, 13 Ravnica-inspired racial feats, coffee roasters tools, guildless backgrounds like Socialite and Wayfinder, 100 guild trinkets, that's a lot, that's good, 12 new magic items, 5 guild relic artifacts from the lore and history of Ravnica. And then for Dungeon Masters, how to develop cooperation in multi-guild parties, using plot hooks to develop cooperation, rules for traveling within the 10th district, and how to customize Ravnica's setting into your campaign. 5 new monster stat blocks. Cool. So lots of stuff. Ravnica is one of my favorite planes in Magic the Gathering, and I think it's just perfect for Dungeons and Dragons. Just really a fun setting, especially if you are into urban settings like I am. So I'm happy that people are continuing to produce works like this. I think the art on the cover is really nice. So I think Sean's probably got something really great here. Let's take a look inside. I did try to use the full-size preview, Sean, and it said not available. So something's wrong with that. That happens sometimes. So please check that, Sean, if you're watching. And viewers, I'm guessing that'll get fixed before you click the link. It often gets fixed as soon as the video goes live, because I do notify all these creators that their books are in the video right when it goes live, so that they have an opportunity to fix things like that. So come back and check that out, even though we're not going to get to during the video here, but very nicely laid out. We can see some wonderful art. We're only seeing 5 pages here, but these quick previews, for some reason, they don't function when you put all the pages in, because in all of my books, I've had to put just like the first 40 pages or so, and I can't put all 100 or 150 or whatever, because it just doesn't work. So I'm not as big a fan of these as the full preview, but at least we can see that there's really nice layout, and if they've taken the time to make such a nice cover, and nice layout, and they're passionate about Ravnica, because if you're thinking about roads you can go down as a creator, there's the well-trodden roads of Forgotten Realms, Ravenloft, where there's all this material out there that you can then build upon, right? Ravnica, there's a lot of material, but it's mostly Magic the Gathering. So it's a brave soul that goes down this road. So I'm certain that Sean is passionate about Ravnica, and it's already got some great ratings. It was 6 ratings, 4.5 stars. That's pretty good, and Copper Seller already in its first week. So I'm sure people are fiending for some Ravnica content if they're trying to have campaigns there. So I'm so grateful that this exists. If I was DMing and trying to do something in Ravnica, I would definitely want to grab this and support Sean. So please check it out under Pryvyd's Guide to Ravnica. Like I said, this full-size preview might be working too by the time you check it out. So don't be afraid to click that and see some more and give it a try in those links down in the video description. Next, we have Quilla Wildwander's, Introduction to the Art of Alchemy. Don't know why I struggle with that name. Michael J. Gould is the author. It says an optional rule set for using natural resources to produce magical consumables. And it's $4.99, 46 pages. Learn alchemy from an original master. Survival and nature are underutilized and almost criminally absent from many campaigns, given the amount of exploration and travel the party is expected to do. To remedy this, gnome druid Quilla Wildwander has provided her introduction to the art of alchemy, illuminating biomes with uniquely occurring ingredients of various rarities that may be used for a multitude of purposes, both mundane and magnificent. Among the immediate effects you may experience when introducing this system into a campaign is a newfound focus upon traveling and exploration between scripted events, leading to character development outside of a class's typical boundaries. Difficult to use incorrectly, easy to use in part or whole cloth. Please enjoy this module to whatever degree it suits your world. So yeah, let's look inside. I love the art, by the way. You get to see 7 of the 46 pages, and it talks about why alchemy, what it is, system overview, valuable output, equipment basics, ingredients, alchemy in action, in Quilla's kitchen, advanced practice beyond natural. So general considerations, how to use the book, system overview here. So finding the resources, production and success, note on foraging, valuable output, potions, powders, teas, food, equipment basics, high-level requirements, production process. Just looking at this, I think if you bought my book, Potions Unlocked, I think this would probably work with it because it doesn't seem to be, contradicting what I have in there. So you could even expand it into teas and powders and food and stuff using this maybe. So fun little synergy there if you got that book. It looks like a lot of fun. Let's read some of the details in here. So a note on foraging. The act of foraging functional or magical materials is meant as a narrative hook in and of itself, as well as a catalyst for the exploration pillar. It's difficult to overstate how simple it is to give you old elven wood a specific personality, tone, ecology, and even society, in the case of communal creatures, through the act of purposeful exploration by a PC. While the idea of walking a marked trail until a player finds willow trees or gnome's ear mushrooms might not engender a specific excitement, the concept of having to wander the unclaimed wilderness for hours in order to find a handful of viable rosary peas, natural resources known to alchemists and many animals alike for having significant power, can very easily translate into discovery, interconnectedness, danger, and problem solving. So I love this, that there's some philosophy and thinking behind the mechanics that they're discussing here. And I can tell you that whoever wrote this is a very talented writer, and I know that because I have a degree in English, and just I can tell by their grammar and sentence structure, etc., that they're talented. So I think it's going to offer some interesting things for you in this book. I mean, they've clearly thought through this. They've got ideas, and they're thinking of ways to turn this whole notion of gathering into something. So many of the video games out there, there's gathering, and Dungeons and Dragons just has not done much on that front officially. So books like this fill the gap. And like I said, it's a fun combo with Potions Unlocked. If you've grabbed that book, you could work with these two together, I'm pretty sure, pretty easily. But I can see just from this table of contents, there's going to be lots of fun things if you're interested in letting your characters do some alchemy. So check it out under Quilla Wildwander's Introduction to the Art of Alchemy in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we've got Ranger Trapper Conclave. One well-prepared ambush is worth 10 skirmishes, it says, from Tracheros. Suggested price of 99 cents on Pay What You Want for 3 pages. It says, become your party's tactician. Trappers fight terrifying monsters far larger and far more powerful than themselves, with their own cunning as their one and only advantage. Even the odds by making the most out of any situation by preparing ambushes and traps and controlling the battlefield. Traps in 5th edition are made highly impractical on purpose out of fear that they will take too much table time. They're more DM tools than player tools. The subclass's goal is to streamline their usage to make them usable by the players, but your trapper will be someone who is acutely aware that best prepared does not necessarily mean most prepared, on the account that over-preparedness costs them spell slots they might need later. It's a fully integrated subclass, 2 new spells, an optional rule to make traps more usable at higher tiers of play, and examples of quirks and goals to make your character stand out. Fun. So let's take a look inside. So you got the scaled traps, so you can use various things to scale the traps. With this optional rule, it says if your DM agrees, you can use the snare spell to deploy ball bearings, caltrops, or a hunting trap instead of the usual rope snare. If you do, the save DC for those traps becomes your spell save DC, so you're scaling those trap DCs. And then you've got bonus spells, and then various quirks for your trapper. And then here's the Trapper Conclave with the various spells and the Trapper tactics. And you're getting to see basically the whole book in this preview, so very generous preview. It says anticipation as an action. You can cast contingency once without material components, and thus you do not need to keep those material components. You do not expend a spell slot for the contingency spell, but you do for its contingent spell. Once you use this feature, you cannot use it again until you finish a short or long rest. So some fun options, but yeah, trapping. It's cool, Traps have been an interesting topic recently with the DM challenge and people creating traps for that. And now you have this subclass focused on traps, so it'd probably work well with that book that we talked about last week that focused on traps. This could go well with that. So check it out under Ranger, Trapper, Conclave in the links below. Next we have The Wild Beyond the Witchlight Shrine to Talos by T.M. Van Dalen for $2.99. It's already a best copper seller, 15 pages. And it's an introductory price. It's normally going to be $3.99 until September 25th, which is coming up quick. So if you're watching this early, that's good. You can grab it. It says it's designed for the Wild Beyond the Witchlight campaign and is intended to give your players extra content during travel. It brings your party in contact with Sylvabin, a druid of Talos pretending to be a druid of Sylvanas. He asks them to collect a relic for an important ritual, which turns out to be a bit darker than they had bargained for. It's a 2 to 4 hour small adventure for tier 2 characters, optimized for average party level of 5. It has enough material for a full session depending on how thorough your party is. Alternatively, it works very well as a standalone adventure for players who are not familiar with the Wild Beyond the Witchlight at all. So that's good. In addition to the 15 page color adventure, you get a printed friendly version, 2 new monsters, a high-res forest clearing map, and a high-res shrine map. And then instructions for how to use those in VTT. And you've got some sample pages, and it looks very nicely laid out. Here's your 2 new monsters. So you got Fey Druid and High Fey Druid. And then this is the adventure with some cool looking artwork and a nice map. Let's go look inside. It says stop a group of evil druids from unleashing chaos upon the Feywild. So that's fun. I like this art too. So you got your adventure hook, running the adventure, all the information on the chapters, pieces of the adventure, and then your monsters as well as your maps. So let's see. It says a group of Fey druids under the direction of Trissus is preparing for a dark and evil ritual to bring destruction to the Feywild and beyond. They have almost everything they need except for a living pixie. Trissus has learned that a hag in a nearby swamp has captured a pixie and polymorphed it into a piece of wood in the form of a leaf. They plan on stealing the piece of wood so Trissus can dispel the transformation and use the pixie in their ritual. Cool. Love pixies. Pixies are fun. And who doesn't want to help stop the destruction of the Feywild, right? So you've got all the information on running the adventure, kind of intro here. Even talks about experience points, and then you get down here into the actual adventure, and we're going to read some of the flavor text about, that's a fun looking map with all the colorful looking trees. Yeah, and there's a hag ambush and some cool art in here, and here's some more maps on the shrines. So yeah, you're getting to see all 15 pages here in the preview too, so there's no reason not to check out a title like this, because you can literally read the whole book, and then if you want to use it, you should purchase it to support these creators. But let's read up here in the very beginning so we're not spoiling too much. It says, ahead of you, the forest breaks away into a pristine clearing. As you come closer, you see the reflection of the ever-setting sun glow in a small stream that leads into the center of the clearing, right up to a simple shrine. Stood next to the shrine is a man clad in a green robe, polishing a particular spot of the stone monument. As you enter the clearing, he looks up and beckons you to come closer. So it says the robed creature is Sylvabin, a chaotic evil half-elf Fey druid, a druid of Talos who is currently pretending to be a druid of Sylvanas. The shrine is decorated with carvings of leaves and ivy and can be recognized as being a shrine to Sylvanas with a successful DC 12 intelligence religion check. So, very cool. Kind of thematic intro to the shrine in the forest, get you in the mood, and I can see how easily this could be just plopped into Wild Beyond the Witchlight, because you're going to be out in the wilderness, right? You're traveling hither and thither and yon and all these places, right? Even in my book, the stuff that we've got in the air, adventures in this, you could insert this in the middle as something going on in the Feywild. So yeah, if you bought the Feywild Companion, I could see you using this with that book as well. the adventures in there or the encounters. We even have an encounter with the pixie, so you could take the pixie character from that, combine it with the pixie character that you're trying to avoid being used for evil purposes here. So all kinds of fun opportunities with all the Feywild stuff going on and the Wild Beyond the Witchlight. And TM Van Dalen does good stuff, and it's already a best copper seller, so people are interested, and you get this low price until September 25th. So hopefully you watch it before then, and you can get in there and get it. But even still, $3.99 is a reasonable price as well. So look for it under Shrine to Talos in those links down below, and give it a click. And next we have Witchlight Carnival Encore by Tessa Moorcroft and John Moorcroft for $2.99, 13 pages. Says it's a magical, mad, whimsical, and ridiculous supplement to expand Wild Beyond the Witchlight Chapter 1, the Witchlight Carnival. Includes 10 encounters and attractions, 8 giant snail tokens, and a snail race course map to use with the snail race, printable props, origami hand puppets to heckle your pro players with. I love that you have little origami props. So you can see kind of very fun things that they're up to. This is the racetrack. Here's some origami stuff down here. You've got these little printable props. It's just fun stuff. Information on the Encore, you name it, it's in here. That Carnival is one of the coolest things about the book. I love the domains and all that stuff in the book as well, but the Carnival is really cool. And you play through it once, and then you're going to go do another playthrough with a different group. You want to mix it up, and so sometimes having titles like this where you can weave in some third-party stuff so that second time through is more fun for the DM, because the DM, especially if you're a professional DM, you're going to run some of these adventures over and over and over, right? So if you can supplement and make it different even and more fun for you, you might find a combination that is just your favorite. Like, I'm going to take this piece from the Witchlight Carnival Encore, this piece from Wild Beyond the Witchlight, this piece from Feywild Companion, whatever, all these books, mix them all together, and make such a unique experience that when those players that you did this pro DM session for, or even at your own table, they go somewhere else and play it, they're like, oh, well, where's that part that was in there that was when I played it with so-and-so, you can make a one-of-a-kind really cool thing. These little props, I think, are going to be fun. Even just having this map so you can do the snail races with the map, I think is going to be a huge help. So let's take a look inside. I don't think it worked. Yeah, it's not working. So if you're watching Tessa and John, it's not working. You can't do this preview. It might be because you're showing the whole book. It seems to not work when you put the whole book in there. I don't know why. I wish they'd fix that. At least you can see that it's nicely laid out, easy to read. It's a really fun concept, and definitely going to be useful if you plan to DM the Witchlight book. So check it out under Witchlight Carnival Encore in the links in the video description. And that's our last DM's Guild title for the week. We're going to move on to DriveThruRPG, but before we do that, please subscribe to the channel, follow me on Twitter at Splinterverse, leave a comment, like the video, share it with your friends, and if you're feeling especially kind, consider purchasing Feywild Companion. It just came out this week. It's 150 pages of Feywild content for players and DMs. So much in there, from tokens to subclasses to maps to you name it, it's in there. We really designed it to be the one book you need to get to feel like you have everything you need for the Feywild. So I really hope you can check it out and give it a try. Or if you've got enough Feywild stuff, consider Potions Unlocked or Van Richten's Librum of Lineages, my other two most recent books. They're also linked in the video description. Just click those to find out more about them. I think you'll enjoy those as well. All right, on to DriveThruRPG. First up, we have 400 Random Fantasy Characters, Volume 3, with a fun cover from Doppelganger Publishing. It's $1 on sale for 20 pages, and it's system agnostic or works for OSR. It says, sometimes you have to create a character on the fly, whether it's an NPC that your players are about to meet or a random grunt. This book will help you create scenarios. All you need is a spark of lightning to stimulate your imagination. This companion volume contains 400 generic characters suitable for any fantasy backgrounds. Each entry includes name, race, character trait, occupation, and object that the character can own. You simply roll 1d1000 to find out the associated character. If you want a character of a particular race, refer to the corresponding page and roll 1d100. So you've got humans, tieflings, dwarves, etc. Here's an example one. Zone Restes Blackwood, human male, beleaguered runesmith's apprentice, bronze shield cursed with light. Irksome Crone Tinker, gnome male, enraged mercenary, potion of animal influence. So yeah, and this is volume 3, so presumably they have others with similar stuff, so if you like it, you can get those in dollars, pretty good price. Let's take a look at the interior. Love the cover. So it's showing you like the number ranges, because you do have that D1000. So yeah, it's just a big long table basically with all these characters, and you can roll to get the ones that you want. Yeah, pretty good. All right, so five pages you can see of the 20, but that gives you a good amount. There's a lot of characters in there. So we read a couple already. You get the idea: name, first, last, race, information about what they, their occupation or what they're up to, and then some things they're carrying. So good idea, easy to use, easy to probably type it up or copy paste it out of the PDF into something else too, so you can have easy access to, maybe you just copy paste 5 or 6 of them out and you just have them ready, and then when you use those, grab a few more for later. So definitely useful for all kinds of campaigns and games. So check it out under 400 Generic Fantasy Characters Volume 3 in those links in the video description. Next we have Basketball Rule Set for 5th edition, and it's 9 pages, and the cover includes some of the content, it looks like, so you can start reading already from the cover. But it's by Gabrielo Despent. It's a suggested price of $1.99 on Pay What You Want. It says, run a basketball game for 5th edition just like a normal encounter. Includes a rule set for running a basketball game, basketball map, and printer-friendly version. Do you want to run a basketball game in a fantasy setting, or do you just want to spice things up and make a fun, unique encounter for your players? If you do, then this is for you. It replaces combat encounter actions with a set of basketball actions with few but necessary modifications. With this, you can run basketball games with ease. The mechanics are intuitive and similar to a simple combat encounter that players can learn in a little time. So let's take a look. Your full-size preview is not working, so you might want to check that if you're watching Gabriello, and see if you can fix that. Also, it looks like the black and white version is showing up for your quick preview. So the solution to that would be to delete your printer-friendly version file, refresh, then add your printer-friendly file back in, and it'll default to your color version for your preview, unless you want this black and white printer-friendly version to be seen here. But it looks fun. The map looks good based on what we just looked at, and it's you can always tweak this to be a game other than basketball too. Maybe it's called something else, right? Since it is potentially in a fantasy setting. So check it out under Basketball Rule Set. Links below. Next one is Big Bleeping Axe from Feral Gamers Inc. It's $3.99, and its subtitles an SRD hack. It's by Jay Lassard as the author, and it's 5th edition. So an SRD hack is for those game masters and dungeon masters that enjoy 5th edition but want to play it with slightly different rules. So they took a look at the SRD, which is the material that you can use outside of DM's Guild from the core rules, and tried to hack it to make it more that they wanted to play or make the game better in their opinion. You can disagree or hate all the changes, but these changes they felt improve their game. So they don't hack every aspect, and the rules they've changed will cause small word changes on the character sheet, but not enough to prompt the need for a new character sheet. So you can see here's some of the changes. Your race now offers hit points, damage dice explode, inspiration is gone, characters now have luck points. points. No hit dice at every level, but con bonus stays. Only 10 class levels, no more proficiency bonus, but class-based bonus instead, etc. There's a whole list here. It's not designed to replace the 5th edition, but to see it and use it differently, basically. It says it can also be used as a weird mix of OSR and 5th edition if you like that kind of thing. And then they have a video down here you can check out. And they have milestones so that every time a certain number of copies are sold on this title, they're going to update it with more content. So that's an incentive to purchase it. But it's $3.99 for the 42 pages. Let's take a look inside. So a little bit of the table of contents here. Got some fun line art in here. Introduction, and then talks about some of the things we already read. So exploding dice damage explodes in the game, meaning that when you roll the highest number on the dice, 6 on a d6, you roll again and add the results together. This will keep happening for as long as the dice falls on the highest results. So that's fun. Mixes it up. Luck, not inspiration, is discussed here. Species hit point, no hit dice at every level. Characters only receive hit dice at levels 3, 6, and 9, because remember, you only go to 10 levels with this. All other levels receive their con modifier only. Critical leads to a stunt. Rolling a natural 20 leads to a stunt. Types of stunts could be advantage on next roll, bonus action, free luck point, etc. So, all kinds of tweaks to 5th edition, and you could grab this and just use one tweak. You don't have to use all the tweaks that they present, but I think for $3.99 it's 42 pages of possible tweaks that you can make to your game. You know, if you're feeling like you want to try something different or you want to just experiment, I think this book is an option for you, and it's one you should check out. So take a look in the links in the video description under Big Bleep and X and give it a click. Next we have Blood Ambrosia from Morkborg from Chthonic Cartography, and it's $5.50, and it says it's system agnostic or OSR. A prince stolen, deal made in exchange for your life, a banquet of blood and gore. You must finish your investigation in the most divine and cursed of flavors before your time runs out and the main dish is served. It's a Morkborg one-shot adventure at the frozen lands of Kurgus. 15 pages of art, 11 pages of lore-filled content about Queen Anthelia and her royal court, more than 10 unique enemies, 9 unique consumable foods, a unique bartering mechanic, 3 isometric maps of the Dark Castle of Alans, filled with flavorful descriptions, enemies, and lore, with multiple paths and possibilities of advancing. So, very fun. I like the cover. It's got that, Morkborg tends to be kind of gory looking, so it's pretty cool. It's got that look. You get to see 5 of the 15 pages here. Some great art in here and nice layout. I say this every week. The Morkborg layouts are always some of the most fun to look at because they do the landscape instead of portrait orientation, and they've got these cool little isometric maps usually. So I'm gonna see if we can zoom in and read something here. It does make it harder to read some of this stuff, but let me see. Yeah, okay. It's a little bit. There we go. Carriages from the four corners of the dying world climb the frozen cliffs overlooking Alans, bringing figures that huddle under thick furs, trying to hide from the piercing cold. The wind howls the glass arches and marble slits, singing like an angel choir, an eerie song greeting the guests. They come for the feast. They come with high expectations. They all heard the tales told by those who have come in the previous years, their eyes livid with life you can't find anywhere else, their skins a lifeless gray. They tell of the decadent dishes that provide a different kind of sustenance, pieces of art that fill not only your stomach but your soul, of the debauchery that happens during the night festivities where the highest lords and ladies of the land lose themselves in a bacchanal of flesh and sweat, of gore and dirt, all overlooked by the ice-cold face of the queen. No one ever tells of her indulging in the food, only that if you look in her eyes for too long, you feel like life force being pulled by her pure black Sedera. You come to take and you leave something behind. So I like that setup. It's very ominous of what's going to happen at this feast, right? And, you know, we've seen this art. It looks really, really good. Gives you that kind of queasy feeling. I think it's fun. If you like Mork Borg, this is going to fit right in with it. So check it out in the links below under Blood Ambrosia. Next we have Evershift, part of the Drifters Atlas from Bite Size Gaming and Zach Goins, Thomas Vota, and Joe Razzo for $9.99, 52 pages. It's for 5th edition. It says, welcome to what remains of the Feywild. Welcome to the Evershift. In this adventure, you'll take a party of heroes into ancient forests, encounter strange and deadly creatures therein, and parley with its desperate matriarchs. It's designed for a level 4 to 6 party and makes use of the 5th edition. It can be run as a one-shot or a continuation of the events from Motherlode, which is another book by the same group here. And it's created as part of the Drifters Atlas community live streaming events. So Motherlode is down here if you want to look at that as a starting point, because presumably if this takes you from 4 to 6, maybe Motherlode takes you from 1 to 3, not sure, or 1 to 4. So maybe check that out as well. But let's take a look inside. The full-size preview was not working, so if you're watching, authors, maybe fix that. I do think it would be worthwhile to get that working because it does look like an interesting title. But you get to see 3 of the 52 pages here in the little quick preview. And so you can see they've got nice white space and good use of layout. But yeah, unfortunately we can't read much of it because it's the print is too small. So hopefully they'll get that added. Again, a lot of these get fixed before the video is too old. So you may be watching this and it's already fixed. So give it a click. This cover art is gorgeous. The concept sounds really fun. And try the full size preview, see if it'll work for you, and check it out further. Next we have Fiends of the Deep, a monster source book for Odysseys and Overlords. And it's a gritty OSR fantasy setting by Travis Legge. And it's $1.95 only for 15 pages. And so it works with basic, BECMI, all that good stuff. OSR. It says the mortal lands are divided. A dozen kingdoms lie scattered across the world, separated by dangerous wilds, filled with bandits and monsters. The bravest mortals act as adventurers, guiding travelers between the kingdoms, killing monsters to thin their numbers and plundering ruins in search of the lost treasures of the Golden Age. This is the world of Odysseys and Overlords. So this book presents new monsters for use in your Odysseys and Overlords game, although you need to read through and occasionally reference materials in the Odysseys of Overlord and Overlords Game Master's Guide and Nations of the Orklands to understand the material presented within. This book contains complete stat blocks for the 10 creatures. So the creatures included in this book populate the oceans that surround the core continent, and they are inspired by the events for the Roll for Seduction Odysseys and Overlords campaign, which you can watch on Twitch. So that's cool. And there's links to these other books if you're interested in, Odysseys and Overlords, etc. So yeah, I like that. And it's from Aegeus Studios as well. Let's see if we can see inside. Yeah, so we've got nice artwork. You've got all the information on the creature. Yeah, it looks like these will work with OSR with these stats here. But take a look for yourself. Make sure it's going to work for your campaign or whatever you're after. And give it some attention here. So let's read about Empress Tani Na Tween, the sole and sovereign ruler of the Brine Blood Empire. Tani began her life as an outcast. Her father was an orc fisherman, her mother a simple merchant. She grew up poor and either overlooked or tormented by her peers. Seeking respect and acceptance, she joined the military of the Brine Blood Federation. Very cool. Okay. And look at this nice art. She's got all these tentacles and a cool trident. Some fun artwork. They've done a really good job with this. So once again, good stuff from Travis Legge. I think it's worth checking out, especially if you're into OSR or underwater stuff. There was a recent underwater book that we covered on the DM's Guild, so this could work really well with that as well. So check it out under Fiends of the Deep in the links below. Fresh from the Forge, a rebalanced weapon system for old school play by L.L. Bloommeyer, 48 pages. Also Lucille L. Bloommeyer here, $6.99. Says Fresh from the Forge presents a collection of rules for weapons and combat that can be dropped into and used in any fantasy adventure game. It is designed first and foremost for use with old school essentials, retro adventure games, but you should have no difficulty dropping it into any other RPG with a similar weapon damage range to the 5th edition. The book doesn't aim to stimulate all the intricacies of how weapons work. Armor has not been reworked to be more realistic. You won't find any intricate striking distance measures or precise weapon dimensions in this zine. The goal is to prioritize something that meets the expectations of adventure game weaponry, while making all options equally valid. Players won't find themselves with one obvious choice of equipment that trumps all others, and these changes will be more meaningful than simply moving damage numbers around. So here's the contents. So they've got an alternative to miniature combat, extending the dungeon combat system into a war system, melee weapon types, melee weapon classes, missile weapons, magic weapons, etc. Weapon shop. And so here we see 2 of the 48 pages. So we're talking about axes here. So axes are a type of top-weighted weapon designed to cut and cleave. A basic one-handed axe deals d6 damage, weighs 60 coins, and costs 7 gold to buy. And then it talks about damage explosion. It says if the damage die for the attack with an axe shows its maximum value, the die is rolled again and the new damage total added to the previous maximum. So we saw that earlier with the big bleeping axe book. So that's nice to see it here again as well. So it seems to be a fun thing people are trying out. But yeah, significant information on the axes. So I'm assuming the rest of the book has got some pretty detailed information as well. Yeah, sounds like good content, so check it out under Fresh from the Forge in the links below. Next we got Harlequin's Guide to Cities and Poison from Chamomile Has Adventures, $4.99 for 42 pages, and it says it's for 5th edition. The city is the natural home to heists and mysteries, all about sneaking past guards and climbing up trellises, tense stealth, and rooftop chases. And in this book, you'll find rules for stealth, chases, and more. Prowl the night with 2 new subclasses, the Shadow Dancer Rogue, and the power to teleport through shadows to kill their targets in the blink of an eye, and the Lunatic Jester Bard. So, very fun stuff. Let's take a look inside. So you've got the table of contents and your rogue subclass, the Shadow Dancer, and then the Lunatic Jester with poisons, and then you've got hirelings. So yeah, this could work well with the Witchlight Carnival or the Carnival in Ravenloft, or even just a Court Jester, it looks like, because you've got the Lunatic Jester. It says called shots. Whenever you make an attack that is not rolled at disadvantage, you may declare a shot. The attack is made at disadvantage, but if it hits, it has one of the following additional effects. These effects last until someone makes a medicine check as an action to staunch the bleeding, or until they receive at least 1 point of magical healing. So you've got the ankle shot, target's movement is reduced by half. Wrist shot, target takes disadvantage on all actions performed with the targeted hand, including attacks. Eye shot, the target is blinded. Cool. So some fun, different items, and I like that this ability plays with the notion of disadvantage being maybe advantageous, because it's harder to do something, but if you succeed, you get a benefit. So I like that. That's a fun angle. So I'm presuming that the rest of the book has some similar fun stuff, so definitely worth considering. Check it out under Harlequin's Guide to Cities and Poison in those links in the video description. Next, we've got Hieronymus Beasts, a bestiary of grief and grift, by Chthonic Cartography. $2.69 suggested pay what you want price, and it's from Morkborg. Other OSR as well, I'm sure. It's mainly based on Hieronymus Bosch's paintings. It says 4 pages of content, 8 unique creatures from the works of Hieronymus Bosch, which I love Hieronymus Bosch's works. They're very inspiring. Interesting pictures. A treacherous climb to the cliffs of Terion, where you will face the Shadow Court. and lore that can fit into any campaign set in Grift or easily reworked for other settings. So let's take a look. So already you can see a piece here from Hieronymus. I love this, one of my favorite pieces from him. And look at all this artwork throughout as you scroll through. So fun stuff. So not sure how to pronounce this. It looks like Ronchi, the Shadow Prince. This is a feast for the king. Roll a toughness D12 or be eaten. You have 3 rounds before being crushed in his gizzard. You can try to escape by succeeding a strength D14 roll. Avert your gaze from his cursed visage. Roll a presence D12 at the beginning of combat, or have 1d2 to any attack roll directed at him. The prince sits atop the rocks of Tyrion. His golden crown, an heirloom dropped by his father in anguish, shines brightly over his court, guiding them to bring his sustenance. His most loyal servants fly around him in a flock of death. Under him is the rotting body of Hieronymus, his canvas giving birth to monstrosities each night. Oh, fun. So they've even worked in Hieronymus as a character. Very fun. So again, beautiful artwork from Morkborg. I think Morkborg's got a lot going on. It's really, I'm seeing more stuff published for that than Pathfinder on DriveThru lately. Although DriveThru's going to be producing a new site, kind of like DM's Guild, but for Pathfinder content soon. All right, next we have The Hunt for Treasure Cove, a pirating adventure for all those who seek gold from Sadfish Games, on sale for $1.45. 10 pages, 5th edition. It's a 5-encounter pirating and pillaging adventure for all who roam the sea at heart. Get ready to search for clues, avoid traps, and fight your way to the heart of pirating itself. It is designed for a 5-person party at beginning levels, so Tier 1. Can be a good way to start the campaign. Includes some world building, but not a full map, allowing the DMs to create their own or fit it to a previous map. So here's your overview. Got the level and game system, world building, ship jobs, all the different jobs, the Catarage. It's a large 156-foot long galleon armed with 32 cannons. It has 3 layers, the lowest deck being a storage area, the middle deck containing cannons, beds, medical room, and kitchen areas, and the upper deck with captain's quarters, cartography room, and the deck. So, and you get information on the crew here. And then you get the map of the Inverness. And then Phantom Island, some information on it, as well as a cave, maps of the cave, etc. So we'll just read one of the crew members. First mate Kiatara is a tabaxi. She's a mottled black and gray and has a large scar running down her face, going through her eye, which has a patch on it. She has no visible weapons on her, but brandishes sharp claws instead. She is incredibly sarcastic. Sounds like a fun character. So yeah, check it out if you're looking for something nautical. Could go with some of that stuff we looked at earlier from Chris Valentine, with the salt marsh things that we saw. You can maybe combine those two together. So look for Hunt for Treasure Cove in the links below and give it a click. Next we have Merry Manticore Deck of Dice, and it's from Spin Foam Games, and it's actually printed on cards for $14.99, and you get 100 cards. And basically they're like the faces of the die on cards, so you can use them instead of rolling dice in situations where you have a small space or you don't want your dice to get away from you. Or as I was looking at this, preparing the lineup, I thought that's also good if you don't want a bunch of noise, right? Because dice can be noisy, and maybe you're trying to play stealthily or somebody's trying to sleep nearby. So these cards are, shuffling's louder, but maybe you just shuffle quietly, or you shuffle in another room and then you can deal out the cards. So and presumably, I guess you can't. You'd have to, depending on the dice. I was going to say you could just have like a stack and just re-roll them. If you buy multiple sets, maybe you could have a bunch of them pre-ready to just flip over and say that's what you rolled. But anyway, it says each card has a symbol in the lower left corner. If you divide the deck into 5 piles of cards with matching symbols, then each pile represents a single d20. Oh, okay, so it's handling that. You're going to have multiple d20s. It also contains 2 sets of d10 results and 5 sets of d4 results. You can share these piles around the table to replace individual dice for up to 5 people. So this might be another way to, like, if you're like a professional DM or somebody who travels a lot, you could carry this, and then if somebody's like, oh, I'd love to play but I don't have my dice, then you know this is easy to store because it's just like a pack of playing cards basically. So some options there for you. It says unless you do quite a bit of replacing and reshuffling, you won't get the same distribution of numbers as rolling dice, but using the entire deck as a single draw pile should give you still a nice range of random results. So yeah, you can kind of see the different options, and it puts the dice next to them, kind of showing you what you would get if you rolled. So I just think it was a fun option that I wanted to share with you guys this week. Maybe you want to try something different. Maybe even use these cards for some other like game within a game, you know. So check it out under Mary Manticore's Deck of Dice in those links below and give it a click. Next we have Misfortune Hill, Creatures and Monsters from Dwargorama. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. And it says the area of the Four Winds is a favored crossroad from all directions. Travelers and peddlers travel through it knowing it's a safe path and that no evildoers are lurking by the edge of the road. But what is the price of peace? In this case, the price can be precisely measured in gold coins. Misfortune Hill is an adventure compatible with 5th edition for a party of 4 to 5 level 8 characters. What appears to be a simple tavern mission will present an extra challenge to discover the whys and hows. By the end of the adventure, the heroes will have gained enough experience to level up. And says includes 10 pre-gen characters, and it's 52 pages for $5.99. Let's look inside. They don't have a full preview, but we can look at the quick preview, which has some beautiful art. Oh, okay, it's kind of short, quick preview. It'd be nice if you're watching Dwargorama to have like a couple of pages maybe as art here, if you can't do the full preview at all, or a full-size preview. Just to kind of give people some interior look, because here we're not really seeing any of the actual mechanics. It's hard to judge without the actual mechanics, but the art is stunning, and just Googling you guys, it looks like you're up to some good stuff, so I want to make sure people get a chance to see it. And I love this cover. So again, guys, if you're watching the video, by the time you watch this, they might have added some images or a full-size preview, so definitely give it a chance and take a look. And 52 pages for $5.99 is pretty good. Alright, under Misfortune Hill is where you want to go if you want to check this out in the links below. Next we have Night Festival, one-shot adventure for 5th edition for 3rd level characters by Anna Holden. It's $2.99 for 15 pages. It says the Night Festival holds a secret that not many know. A dark kept secret lies below. Each year, the city of Rail holds a festival to celebrate the city, its inhabitants, and the creators that have led to its success. The city is lit up with strings of colored lights, live music heard from all over, and at the city center, delicacies and drinks available at every corner. For one night, the city is filled with dancing, laughter, and cheer as everyone comes together to celebrate. Except this year, people are going missing. Someone seen a few minutes earlier is no longer there, as if they disappeared into thin air. When a member of your party goes missing, you must find out what's going on. Includes up to 4 encounters, 1 map, and multiple potential endings. So, sounds fun. Let's take a look inside. The full-size preview was not working, so Anna, if you're watching, if you could try to fix that, that would be great. Because I'm sure people would like to look inside. Yeah, this looks very nicely illustrated and laid out with some good artwork. Looks too small for me to read with my eyes, but it looks fun. They've got a giant bat encounter, a Yethhound encounter, and just the whole setup. Reading that, it was very moody reading this. I'm sure it's going to be a lot of fun, and give it a click, because maybe by the time you click it, that full-size preview will be working for you. So check it out under Night Festival in the links below. Next we have the Oracle issue 15, Caravan Travelers from the Grinning Frog. It's on sale for $7.91. 52 pages, And it says, just as all characters are better equipped when they have a bag of holding, a potion of healing, and a sunrod, a GM is better equipped when supplied with a steady stream of new materials and ideas. So, and that's what we have for you here. So it says, rule system storytelling, any system agnostic in Dungeons and Dragons. So contents in here: game advice, caravan culture, mindset, key individuals using scouting in your game and wagon types, prophetic vision, using divination in your games using prophecy points, how prophecy can be used to further your game, welcome feast, advice on ways to use the big show in your games, 7 detailed NPCs, 3 new magic items, music and magic, suggestions on creating 5 different types of bardic rituals, and much more, including steeds, tarot, gods, trinkets. Good stuff. So you can see here's the Caravan Travelers piece. Yeah, all this little information here. Nice little wagon. Magic items. Yeah, so very fun information. It says, why is it system neutral? Because we personally play multiple games and systems, and do virtually all the DMs and GMs that we know. By making it system neutral, we can focus on strong storytelling without getting hung up on the mechanics and conversions. So it says you can read this content and use it at the gaming table inside of 5 minutes. So that's a good approach. So yeah, let's see if the preview's working. Yeah, it is to show the 2 of the 52 pages. So it looks like we're seeing some cards maybe, because this looks like the back of a card, and then this would presumably be the front. So maybe a little tarot action or something, but fun, nice. And we've seen lots of the interiors down here as well. So yeah, I think it could be fun. Yeah, check it out under the Oracle, or it's actually under Oracle in the links below, and give it a click. Next we have RC2, the Brinkwood Thicket. It says the Princess of Petals has been kidnapped during the annual birth month celebration of Bright Bloom. The town of Brink is swarmed by giant wood spiders. The foul beasts attack no one, but they abscond with the maiden chosen to be this year's festival princess. She must be saved, but the kidnapping goes much deeper than expected. And it's from Mirthgarther Entertainment, $4.99, and author Matthew Evans. Mirthgarther Entertainment has decided to go back to its roots and focus on writing adventures for OSR. So this is for OSR, Beckme, Basic, the Princess, and we read that already, so we'll read that. Let's take a look inside. So you got your Hex map, which is nice. Intro. Oh, this looks so second edition, which I love. The little blue border and blue font. I had so many fun days reading through second edition books. Takes me back. All right. So yeah, you got the maps. You got details on what's going on and all these points on the map with the numbers. Yeah, very second edition feel to it, even though it's for OSR and Beckme. I love that. Fun. Don't see people mimicking that style much. They mostly mimic, like, I don't know, Basic, I guess, or 1E. So let's see. It says it's meant to be played as a direct sequel to RC1, but it's very little modification. It can run as an independent adventure, so that's nice. They're kind of doing the old school module intro numbering, all that stuff, so that's fun if you want that feel. So we read this. Let's see. I'm just trying to find another spot here we can read. Let's read the Great Elm. This ancient tree stands proudly to a height of some 80 feet and branches out to a diameter of at least 60. During this time of year, it creates almost a blizzard of white seeds covering the ground around it with swaths of small white leafy seeds. Scattered across the ground here are many coins and small trinkets from countless spiders' meals. 1 turn of searching returns 25 GP, etc. So yeah, fun little tree that's in the center of this map here. Yeah, it looks like a good little old school adventure. Got that TSR look to the cover. And, you know, you could pick up RC1 as well and have kind of like a whole old school experience with multiple modules and just have a good old time. So check it out under RC2 in the links below and give it a click. Next we have the Ruined Keep, an adventure for 1st to 3rd level characters. and it's written for Worlds Without Number, but can be used with other OSR systems. 21 pages. It's a drop-in adventure. Multiple adventure hooks are available, from rescuing a missing daughter to hunting down bandits. This adventure includes the stats for a new monster, and it's got maps suitable for VTT use, so you can see them here. Very nice. And it was funded through the Patreon, it looks like, of this creator, so that's awesome. It's by Parts Per Million, $3.99. And the full preview wasn't working, so Parts Per Million, Marcus Locke, if you're watching this, look into that. It'd be nice to get that working for people. But you can see a lot of it here looking through this as well, and it's big enough to read a little bit, so we should be able to read at least a section here for you, because I've got the whole thing in here. So, a large old stone building with 2 stories, a couple of outbuildings for guests, and a stable for horses dominates the village, and it's known as the Wanderer's Inn. The sign is a faded picture of a cloaked figure walking with a staff. The inn sounds very busy from outside with the shutters, but most of the windows are closed. The open ones let out the noise and wisps of smoke in equal abandon. A drunken voice rises in song, only to be told in a loud, deep voice to shut up and stop disturbing the guests. So that's a nice, flavorful intro to the inn. So yeah, check that out under Ruined Keep in the links below. Next we have Ruins of Generica, Ruined Keep from Devious Games, and this is a 3D printer model for $7, and the artist is Kieran Billings. So you can see it's got all these little pieces, so you can have these stairs or different stairs, platform top, platform support, various rocks. So you can tweak this, right? It's not always going to look the same. You can make various parts to it, and then you can paint it to make it look like this if you want. Even add some little moss or whatever to the pieces. I think it looks really beautiful when it's finished here. So I think you could have a lot of fun with this. Use it for D&D, OSR, any of these, Morkborg. Yep, very cool. So check it out under Ruins of Generica in the links below. Next we have the Spectral Belltower, a horror adventure for a party of starting characters, from Parts Per Million at $2.99 for 19 pages. It's a Tier 1 first to 4th level horror adventure. It says it's intentionally set up to allow you to improvise the events and encounters. The text gives you the who, what, where, when, why, and how, and the characters enter the story as events are about to escalate to a new level. The local villagers have plenty to say about what they think is going on. When the bell atop the ruined abbey tolls, that is when the specters rise. And there's VTT battle maps. Cool, that map looks really fun. And then here's a video on it, so that's cool as well. So on this one, the full preview works, so that's good. Got your contents, intro, planning the event. You guys see all the pages. So you get to see the whole thing. Running the adventure, all that stuff. The Abbey. Very cool. Yeah, these maps are gorgeous. So it says Who. The Necromancer is the original Who, but they are long gone and play no further part in the goings-on. The real Who are the specters from the Abbey. What is happening is that the specters are driven to destroy all life, which they are doing. So, kind of an interesting structure there for the story, but I like it, and the art is nice. Those maps, I really like this map here, this one, with the different colored windows. It's fun. Yeah, you could reuse this for a lot of things. So yeah, check it out under Spectral Belltower, and those links down below in the video description. Next we have Thrones and Bones Player's Guide, a player's guide to Norwengard by Lou Anders and Lazy Wolf Studios for 5th edition at $9.99 for 43 pages. Last week we talked about Thrones and Bones Dungeon Master book, and now we're talking about the player's guide. And Norwengard is basically a setting that is based on a series of novels, so it's pretty cool. And it says it takes the pertinent information from chapters 1 to 3 of the campaign setting and just to give you a short overview, and then all the player-focused character stuff is in here as well, so you can use this if you're just going to be a player in the campaign. It's got an overview of life in Norengard, rules for the Thrones and Bones board game, which is a popular in-universe pastime, so it's a game within a game. 3 new ancestors, 3 new subclasses, 2 new backgrounds, 3 new fates, and 8 new spells. And like I said, it's 5th edition. So very fun, and yeah, it's really, really cool looking artwork on the cover, which we'll look at again in a minute. But yeah, they have these nice maps that you can see, as well as the layout. It's just so nice. Talks about, you know, the series of novels that it's based on, and then life there. Yeah. I'm not going to read any of this. It's very similar to the pages we read last week, so you can watch that if you want to see that. But it does include player stuff as well, it sounds like. And look at this beautiful art. So check it out under Thrones and Bones in the links down below. Next we have Villainous Volume 1, The Widow of Roses. It's from A Couple of Drakes as the publisher, and it's $4.99 for 66 pages. It's for OSR or any system agnostic. So you can see some of the pages here. It says villainous volumes because every tabletop role-playing game campaign deserves a cool-ass big bad evil guy. Beyond the bramble and rose-woven gates and the thorn-tangled hedges of the Griever's Knot, the castle rises like a canker. It was once a fairy tale monument to the days of the old empire. The tyrant and the lady claimed domination over all they surveyed, but the tyrant was pulled down, killed in the field by a last desperate alliance, and the lady was left with only ruin, desolation, and hate. As the principalities take their faltering steps into the future, the tattered remnant of their past stirs within the castle roses. Marshalling her magic and her malice, the widow puts a plan in motion to once again bring the world under her thrall, to wake her departed tyrant from the jealous embrace of death, and to strike back at those who dared stand in the way of love everlasting. So I like that the romance is at the center of this, and that there's this history, this great backstory before everything happened. It's a zine with a 66-page campaign skeleton with hooks, adventure seeds, compelling NPCs, monsters, treasures, and central villain who takes actions to change the world and fulfill their agendas. It's compatible out of the box with 5th edition, but the tag-based structure of the treasures and opponents used in the Villainous volume is easily adaptable to your favorite fantasy game. So yeah, you can see a little bit of the interiors here, but let's look at the full preview. So they've got a little skipping rhyme, so you get to see 13 of the 16 pages. Mithril, following the defeat of Tyrion's armies, or Tyrion's armies, and faced with the precedent of, okay, so we kind of read something like that earlier, so we won't read that again, but she's a treacherous elven queen, walled away in an ensorcelled castle, a remnant of a former empire. She seeks to break the bonds of her prison through the use of her surviving agents on the outside, remnants of her broken army and the Knights of the Wayward Rose, newly resurrected from the battlefield where they fell. These agents seek to sow discord among the young principalities, return the artifacts necessary to resurrect the fallen tyrant, and pave the way for the widow's return. With all these roses, it could also maybe tie into Feywild a little bit if you want. It says it takes place in the wake of the fall of a massively powerful elven empire, and then you've got the elves as well involved here. Yeah, nice layout, art, looks really fun. Got quest seeds, eyes everywhere, far-flung villages being stalked by a monstrously large wolf, and seeks heroes to bring the beast to bay. The dire wolf is threatening the flocks, not discriminating in the slightest between sheep and shepherd. It is in actuality a spell-stitched monster. Its ragged flesh is patched over by ragged shards of mirrored glass, and acts as an advanced scout for the widow, assaying the defenses of the boarded village, and it is not alone. What's happening, questions to answer, all that stuff. Who's involved? So yeah, nice way they've structured this. I like that it's a skeleton instead of fully flashed out, so that you have room to move as a DM and creator. So yeah, really fun, different take. I like this one a lot. So check it out under Villainous Volume 1 in those links in the video description and give it a click. And that's our last title for the week. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave us a comment, and please consider buying our books. We've got Feywild Companion out this week. It's a great book with 150 pages of Feywild fun for you. So much stuff. I'm sure if you click the link, you'll find something in it that works for you and what you're looking for with the Wild Beyond the Witchlight out. Lots of great stuff. We've also got other books like Potions Unlocked, Van Richten's Libram Lineages in the links below for you to click on. Follow us on Twitter at Splinterverse. You can find out about our upcoming other books and any other promos and things going on with us. And as always, support all these wonderful creators that we previewed today. It is very costly to make these books, most of the time at a loss. So buy and recommend, get these books and pay those creators so that they continue to make such great stuff for us. And if you click any of those links down below and purchase a book or purchase any book on those sites, we're going to get a little bit of money to support the channel. We're not monetized yet because we don't have enough subscribers, so eventually we'll get to that magical number, but until then, that helps us as well. So consider clicking those links and making a purchase of some kind, and hopefully one of the creators we showed you today. But as always, I'm grateful for all the community, all the creators out there, all the great work they do. Happy I can do my part to help showcase your work and get the word out. And until next time, happy adventuring.